Welcome to the second training module for Student Government's annual allocations. This module will focus on the funding website, including how to access the funding website and register your budget team, the features and resources available on the website, and how to build your RSO's profile, including your contacts, information about your funding network, and your account balance. Annual allocations applications are all made online via the RSO funding website, which you can access at rsofunding.uchicago.edu. Access to the funding website is based on your roster in Blueprint. Your primary contact, president, and treasurer will all have access. Additionally, if you have other members of your organization who will be working on your budget, you can assign them to the budget team position available in your Blueprint roster to give them access. Access updates based on any changes you make to your roster are not immediate. During the allocations process, we expect that they should take effect within approximately 15 minutes. If you have questions about managing your roster in Blueprint, you should reach out to your RSO advisor. We do strongly recommend that each of your budget team members test their access early in the application process so that you have sufficient time to address any access issues that may arise. You'll be able to log in to the funding website with your CNET ID and password. Once you've logged in, you will land on your funding portal, where in the left pane you'll find RSO funding links that will take you through the application components of the site. Below that are numerous resource links that provide information for RSOs, including links to the Center for Leadership and Involvement's overview pages about annual allocations, the schedule, and training materials. Additionally, there are links about some of the other funding bodies like SGFC, the Community Service Fund, and Summer SGFC. Additionally, we have training materials about the Blueprint Finance module linked here for your access. Lastly, there are links to some of those important documents you'll need to review before you start building your budget, the SGFC guidelines and cost guide. Once you've reviewed all of the training information and resources, you're ready to start working on your budget. Select Review Submit a Budget to begin. On this page, you'll find entries for all of the organizations for which you hold a position in Blueprint that permits you to access annual allocations. Again, those positions are primary contact, president, treasurer, or budget team. If you have access for more than one RSO, they will appear on this page serially. It is extremely important to make sure that if you have access for multiple organizations, that you are always working within the correct one. If you accidentally build an event in the wrong RSO's section, it will not be transferable and you'll have to start over. Within your RSO section, you will find 4 components. The RSO profile will serve as a header for your entire budget. Your budget archive provides a historical record of your previous requests and the decisions of the committee. This includes line item detail as well as event descriptions for your reference. New funding requests is where you will build your budgets for the committee for this year. This section will be discussed in detail in the next training module on building budgets. Finally, supporting documents. Here is the place where you can upload documents to provide to the committee. You can see the documents you've provided in the past, as well as upload new documents. Anytime you upload documents, make sure to name them to correspond with the event to which they pertain. When you begin building your budget, the first thing you should do is update your RSO profile. Here you'll find some general information about your organization drawn from Blueprint, including a list of your members who can access your budget. The first thing that you need to update are your 2 budget contacts. Each organization will be required to supply 2 contacts. These will be pre-populated with last year's information if you've previously applied for ANL, so it's very important to make sure that they're updated. Your designated contacts are the individuals to whom the committee can reach out if they have questions during deliberation, so it's important to choose the correct individuals from your budget team to list as contacts. These individuals should be knowledgeable about the budget you've submitted and also be able to be responsive if the committee puts out an inquiry. If you're not able to respond in a timely fashion, they may not be able to include your responses in their deliberations. Next, we ask for a breakdown in your membership. This is a rough approximation of your general membership across different categories. This helps the committee understand the scope of your organization and who is participating. Finally, there's a section about your funding status. This is important for the committee in that it helps them understand the overall financial landscape in which you're making your request. The first question is, do you get support from any other sources? Here, you should list any fundraising you typically do and any regular co-sponsors, whether those be departments, businesses, or simply donations. Also, you can include any other funding committees from whom you regularly receive support. You do not need to include SGFC here. These are not intended to be firm commitments for next year, as you can't predict that at this point. Rather, they are used to provide the committee with an understanding of your funding network and the type of additional outreach you are committed to making beyond SG funding. Additionally, they want to know if you collect dues, and if so, how those are used by your organization. Again, this is to get a better understanding of your financial workings. Last, we get to questions about your account balance. It's important to fill out an accurate account balance here. The committee will have access to information about your current account balance, so be as accurate as possible. The next field asks about the plans for those funds. The committee wants to see how those funds are earmarked so they can understand how much is available to you to fund your programs for next year. For example, if you have $2,000 listed as being in your account now, but only $500 is for your study break in May, and there's another $1,500 that's for your conference in June, you simply need to itemize those expenses so that the committee knows that they're earmarked. You may choose to upload an additional document to explain a large number of earmarks. What they're looking for here is funds that are not thoroughly earmarked for specific programs. If you have a surplus for a rainy day, they're going to ask you to use those funds to cover some portion of the events you're applying to them for, so that they can fund organizations that don't have funds on hand for their programs already. It all boils down to the committee's goal to fund a large offering of diverse events on campus. If you propose an event, but you have enough available funds to hold that event, the committee is going to focus their efforts on funding groups who have a demonstrated financial need. If you do have a surplus, you can elect to contribute portions of it to your ANL budgets by adding fundraising line items within each of your budgets, stating that they're coming from current funds. If you have a debt, you'll be asked to indicate that and provide information on how you've been working to pay off the debt. The committee wants to see the work you're putting into maintaining a responsible financial plan before offering more funds to your programs. Once you've updated all those fields, you can submit the query. And you're ready to move on to the next stage, building your budget. Please join us for our next module, which will cover that process. In the meantime, there's a lot of additional support that's available, including on our website and the funding website. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to your advisor if you have questions.